All right, Beard. I surprisingly have a lot for this game. I normally like to let you just kind of take the driver's seat here, do the roadmap type of things and just sit shotgun, maybe roll me something up and just kind of cruise down the highway and do my thing. But this game was really interesting. These last two games we're going to talk about, I think that the scoreboard is a little bit just a little bit of false information if you just looked at the score, right? And you didn't watch the game. And I did watch this one condensed and then watch the all 22 on this one. The Bucks got out to a 3-0 lead early in this one. They do end up winning this game 37-20. The Commanders added a touchdown late to kind of make the score look a little bit more serviceable in this one. It was 37-14 with 4 minutes left in the game, and they scored that late touchdown there. Jaden Daniels got in the end zone after y'all got down to the goal line. It was 16-7 at the half, and I thought that the Bucks kind of gave you guys a few avenues to be able to take the driver's seat in this game early and often. And after it was 3-0, that Jalen McMillan inside fade route that he ran, that Baker kind of just I won't even say Baker overthrew him. You got to make that catch. And I think the rookie jitters might have been still settling in, along with Washington, too, on their first drive. Your first play went backwards for like a loss of like 15 yards on a swing pass to Brian Robinson in the flats. 3 and out on that first drive. Benjamin St-Juste almost had an early interception on Baker Mayfield, which I thought could have really changed the landscape of this game. Commanders ended up getting down 6-0 in this one. And it was just a very tough performance for y'all in that first quarter. Y'all got down to the red zone, ended up missing an early field goal. I think you told me that dude got released, right?
Yeah, he got cut. We cut him.
That's crazy. They were just bringing him in. I remember when we were at the Patriots preseason game versus Commanders. I think that was his first time kicking.
Looked good then, but
he
no.
looked pretty. He looked.
We
pretty
got
good.
our seventh round draft pick back because we cut him. He had to have played at least 2 games in order for the Browns to keep their pick. So at least we got our pick back from Cleveland.
That's not too bad. Impressive to me. One of the more impressive drives of this game was the scoring drive for the Commanders in the second quarter. It cut the lead from the Browns to 13-7. Jaden Daniels really showing you that he can use his legs to make plays in the NFL. And Austin Eckler on a quick little play across the middle, man, showing you that he looks like he's running a little bit tougher than he was down there with the Chargers and whatnot. But I love what I'm seeing out of Jaden Daniels. And I think a lot of people, in this area are looking at the Jaden Daniels performance and going, he's running the ball too crazy. And I told you this off air. It's not racism, it's placism. If you've ever seen Any Given Sunday, certain people just don't like these kind of quarterbacks that run around a lot like this and make plays with their legs. But I always say this about younger rookie quarterbacks in particular, that if you have a skill set to be able to use your legs while you are developing your mechanics, upper body and lower body, developing the speed and getting used to the NFL's, the pace that the game moves at. If you can use your legs to make plays like a guy like Jalen Hurts did in his first year as a starter, I think it gives you a great way to be able to buy time. I thought Jaden Daniels had the best game of all the rookie quarterbacks across the league this week. 17 of 24 for 184 yards, 16 rushes for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. He couldn't get the passing touchdown, but I think he'll find a way to get that next week against the Giants. And look, man, I did a ton of scouting on Jaden Daniels coming out of LSU, had the film breakdown that I'd done here on the channel, told everybody that if the Giants could walk away with a quarterback like Jaden Daniels, I would have felt extremely good going into this year. Granted, it might not have led to a bunch of victories, but it just gives you hope. And you can see that in the Washington community right now, that Jaden Daniels gives this team hope. His speed with his legs, you saw it in college. It translated amazing into the NFL in his first week here, going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are a pretty damn good defense. He was a quick, decisive, quick decision-making quarterback at LSU. That also translated as well. You could see him getting the ball out of his hands quickly, taking what was there, utilizing the check downs, the shorter routes across the middle. He's not a quarterback that can't throw across the middle, which is amazing to see in his first performance here. He did miss Terry McLaurin on that deep shot down the left side, which I thought also could have got y'all back in the game to start the second half. And then Baker and them went down and they scored their own touchdown. The one criticism I would have with Jaden Daniels in his game is he ended up getting hit blindside and just holding the ball a little bit too low when he goes to peel out of the pocket. He's got to fix that. Start holding that ball up a little bit high, doing a little bit of Joe Burrow and whatnot. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Justin Fields. Now, the Beard warned everybody that the Washington Commanders wide receiver core is not good. And I kind of thought I agreed with you on it, but I didn't think it was going to be as bad as it was. both of your leaders, as far as pass catchers go, were running backs, which is crazy. Austin Eckler, glorified wide receiver. I told y'all that man is not a running back. All right. He was the leader as far as receptions go and yards. He had 4 receptions for 52 yards, and then B-Rob was right behind him with 3 receptions for 49 yards. Got to find a way to get Terry McLaurin involved in this game. You know, I thought Cliff Kingsbury kind of neglected the run a little bit too much in this game, but getting down on the scoreboard definitely hurt y'all. Just 7 total receptions from wide receivers in this game. Third down, I'm going to talk about the defense, and then I'm going to give you the keys to do what you do here. Third down defense for the Commanders. I don't know what is going on over there, because first and second down, they look like a defense. I'm like, God, y'all are out here.
I'll give you one nugget to roll this on. On first down, they held the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to 0 or negative yards 10 times on first down in this game.
I mean, that's incredible. Do you know how many first down plays they had?
I don't know the number off the top of my head, but that
10 already tells you though. That's most of them. That's definitely most.
At least, I mean, you're talking at least 60% of the time.
Yeah, I would definitely think that. Now, the Bucs ended up being 9 for 13 on third down. You can't win a game like that. And Emmanuel Forbes had the huge pass interference call where he was kind of looking at the refs like, what'd I do? And like you look at the replay, it's like, bro, you straight hooked him when he went up the field. It's kind of like a
he got 2 penalties on that play, bro. Pass interference and a face mask.
Both of them on you. Like, come on, bro. That kind of stuff can't happen. And he has had a very tough start to his career. But I just think that, like, you understand why they sat him on the bench last year. Yeah. He's just not ready to play right now. And I think you guys might want to try to address that position. You know, bring in some depth, bring in some competition, even if it's somebody that's not going to start. But Baker did have that huge third down touchdown to Jalen McMillan in the second half. Beautiful throw from Baker Mayfield, correcting his mistakes. And Baker Mayfield was really good. One of the better quarterbacks over the weekend, man. 24-30, 289
best quarterback,
yards.
In my opinion, in this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, he had a game. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. It was definitely a day for Baker Mayfield. And we talked about this off air, and the beard kind of reminded me about this, that I think we both forgot it. So we can't say people, but people along with us forgot that this Tampa Baker Buccaneers team was damn good at the end of the year last year. They went in, took care of the Philadelphia Eagles in the playoffs. That game was not even close. They beat them like 30-something to 10 or something crazy like that. So I think that, you know, for a first outing for the Washington Commanders, new organization, rookie quarterback, new coach, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, rookie quarterback in the mix, you bringing in a bunch of new pieces. I thought it was a decent outing, just got down a little bit too early in this game, and in return, it made you guys neglect the run in this one. Commanders did rush for 138 yards as a team, which looks pretty good on the box score. 88 of those yards came from the quarterback.
Yeah. So it was about what I expected. I told everybody, offensive line, question marks, secondary, question marks, wide receiver, question marks. I don't know what people expected out of this team. And this was the first time everybody played together, because you didn't see a lot of Luvu and Wagner in the preseason.
Right.
You know, so it was what I expected. I thought Jaden Daniels looked great. He missed a couple of plays. The first play of the game, obviously, the fumble, because it was a backwards pass. You know, that put us back 14, 15 yards on the first play.
I thought that was on B-Rob too.
First play of the game, and then he missed the one to Terry down the sideline. Those were the two that really stood out to me. But to me, it doesn't look like I saw a lot of people saying that he took the ball down too quickly, and he took off running too quickly. And I think a lot of that is people who just don't like to see that style of play. To me, it looked like the game was not too fast for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I thought that he does not get rattled. He is very just in his bag when it comes to the game. And I thought that was really good. Some numbers, it gets a little crazy. I saw people complaining about the coaching, defensively and offensively. Somebody was like, this defense is soft. They're not blitzing and they need to bring more pressure. I don't know what's going on here. Tampa Bay and Washington had the the number 2 and number 3 highest blitz percentages in the NFL this week.
Damn.
Tampa Bay blitzed Washington on 42.4% of the dropbacks.
That's a lot.
Washington blitzed Tampa Bay on 41.2% of Baker Mayfield's dropbacks. Okay. Now,
But people want
defensively,
more blitz.
yeah, defensively, there was some. It was so easy to look at all the bad things, right? Because there was a lot of bad things. The secondary, it was very reminiscent of last year. A lot of miscommunication, a lot of confusion, blown coverages, that led to some easy throws for Baker Mayfield as far as, guys being open. But let's not forget Mike Evans is a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Right.
Okay. So, and Chris Godwin is not too shabby either. He's actually led them in receiving in this game. They were targeted, I think it was 14 times between the two of them. They had 13 catches for 3 touchdowns on 14 targets.
You're not going to beat the Bucs like that. Nope.
And I mean, I talked to you about Bucky Irving. Remember I was telling you about how Bucky Irving was a guy that I was going to be snagging up late in all my fantasy drafts. He looked really good. Him and White found a way to make the run game work. It was a pretty good balance there. Obviously, there's a lot of that running was in the second half. Washington had so many missed tackles. And I looked at Pro Football Focus, and it said 5. And I said to myself, ain't no way in hell they only had 5 missed tackles. Because I think there was one play they had 5 missed tackles on one play.
Right.
That being said, they had 8 tackles for losses in this game. Second most in the entire NFL in week 1.
That's really good.
So they were getting and pressure. They were getting pressure too. They had the 6th highest hurry percentage in the NFL in week 1, right? There was some things there that was good. It was just the third downs, bro. They converted a 3rd and 18 bubble.
Yeah. It was ugly. Third down. It was the worst third down play I've seen in a really long time.
It was the worst third down play in the National Football League in week 1. You said I think it was 9 of 13. It was actually 11 of 15 because they gave him 2 first downs on penalties too. The third down penalties killed us. And these are the things I talked about before the game. I said you got to play physical and you got to play smart. They didn't do either one of those things. They were in the backfield so much, but they could not get any sacks.
Missing tackles.
The sack percentages was really bad. They had the 2nd worst sack percentage in the National Football League in week 1. 3.2%. You want to know, and we're talking about missed tackles here because a lot of that is all because they couldn't take Baker down. And shout out to Baker. Baker's a guy in the pocket. Let's not get it twisted.
Is Baker like ascending now to that, like, you remember where Jared Goff was when he first went to Detroit? And people were like, I think he had like 16 touchdowns, like 12, 13 interceptions that first year. People were like, Jared Goff's kind of in that Daniel Jones realm.
Yeah.
Now, Jared Goff is a top 10 quarterback on everyone's list.
Baker is on the rise.
And I think Baker might be kind of climbing them charts a little bit. He's so
comfortable there. And they brought so much of it back too. So they got this chemistry already, and you could see the chemistry immediately in this game. That was a big difference between these two teams.
He's good in the pocket, man. Baker's good in that pocket.
The missed tackles, you know what missed tackles lead to? They lead the yak.
Mm-hmm.
They gave up 187 yards after the catch.
Damn.
2nd most in the NFL
Baker's
week
yards?
1.
Baker was at
280, I think.
And how much of it was yak?
187.
Damn. Yeah,
2nd most in the NFL in week 1. And I see some people asking about some of the new additions on the offensive line. Here's some offensive line numbers for you. Not one offensive lineman had a pass blocking grade above 65. Every single one of the offensive linemen gave up at least 1 pressure. Damn. They allowed the 2nd most hurry percentage in the National Football League week 1. They allowed the 8th highest pressure percentage in the NFL in week 1. So, I mean, it wasn't horrible offensive line.
But that's because the quarterback, though.
Exactly.
He's escaping pressure. And he's making plays.
If that was Sam Howell back there,
he had times where like he would do like 3 and 4 different lateral movements before he actually took off and started running towards the line of scrimmage to then make his play. Like, man, that's the one thing about watching that game. I was just like, y'all motherfuckers, man.
And the penalties too. 7 penalties for 51 yards in this game, and then obviously the kicker, 2 missed field goals, kickoff out of bounds. I mean. Those are the things as Washington Commanders fans, like, you have to play you allowed Tampa Bay offensively to basically play almost a perfect game. I mean, I mentioned the numbers to Evans and Godwin.
Yeah.
You have to play even more higher level of football, IQ-wise and physicality, to even compete in that. And I thought they did a good job competing. Like, to me, it was better than last year because I felt, even though I think people got lost in the hype because Dan Quinn and Joe Witten, everybody was talking about we're going to be this violent defense and we're going to have all this and that. And people
sound good.
And people, yeah, exactly. It sounds really good. You can put all those sayings up on the wall that you want to, right?
Yep.
But if you don't execute, it's not good. It's going to look worse. But to me, I thought we competed in this game. You know, and I think a lot of that competing was because of Jaden Daniels, because of Brian Roberts, and because because of Austin Eckler. You mentioned that. I thought that was a great point. Austin Eckler looked like he played aggressively.
Yeah, he was running tough, man.
So like those three guys, I thought were definitely some highlights. Bobby Wagner, a lot of people were like, oh, he looks slow and he wasn't good in pass coverage. The dude had 3 tackles for loss by himself. You know, he led the team in tackles. So it's just, there's so many. Roberts, shout out to the Baltimore Orioles old second baseman Brian Roberts. Okay, my bad.
Yo, I was like, I know that name, but I was like, that was like my era of Baltimore Orioles, bro. Brady Anderson. I remember that squad. I remember that squad.
That was a good
shout
squad.
out to my
BJ Surhoff.
Yo.
So for me, it wasn't as bad. I mean, the reaction from Commanders fans was just all over the place. Like they were like, I saw people like, fire everybody, and I'm just like, bro, we just brought him in, my guy. Like, and I thought Cliff Kingsbury did a pretty good job. People were upset that there wasn't more creativity. I mean, like, y'all want my boy to get killed.
The comments that be running around on social media be so generic.
Oh yeah,
I want more creativity,
more blitzing.
I
mean, bro, how much more blitzing do you want? They damn near blitz 50% of the dropbacks.
I know, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense, man. Doesn't make any sense.
I was impressed with Jaden Daniels. I almost said Jaden Williams. Jaden Daniels, right? I was impressed.
All these like 2000, like late 90s babies, Jaden is a popular name. Like, there's a bunch of these kids coming out named Jaden. Jaden spelled all different, and it's
there's all different types of ways to spell names these days. I love it. Yeah. But I think that there's a lot to be happy about as far as building blocks go, because for me, I say this over and over again, this was what I expected. Yeah. I don't know what anybody else would expect. And we had rookies starting in the secondary. You know, and I think you're going to see a lot of changes now. Next week, you'll see a lot of changes. I think you'll see Coleman in at left tackle. I think they'll probably move Cornelius Lucas to the bench. It'll be interesting to see what happens at wide receiver 2. The wide receivers are going to have to find a way to get open. You know, like it's just, and it's interesting because you talked about the separation. And I know that stat, depending on where we get it from, can be skewed sometimes because I think they only, because there was a stat going around where there wasn't one Washington wide receiver in the top 60 as far as separation goes in the NFL in week 1. But
those normally come from Next Gen, the separation statistics. They have the charts and whatnot.
But the thing is in order for you, I think, to be qualified for that list, you have to have at least, you have to have at least 4 or 5 targets, and B, that separation percentage is only on targeted passes, or so like they only are.
I'm gonna look into that because I don't think it is.
So that's what I was reading on. Is that so? I don't. That's why I said it. I think we kind of have to get some clarification on some of these separation stats,
because I want to look into QBR, and passer rating is a statistic that's been around for so long that I don't really have all the details on how they calculate those. So I'm going to do a little bit of homework. I got 3 pieces of homework. I'm going to look at separation on Next Gen, see the criteria for it, along with QBR and passer rating.
Yeah, and just to kind of like, put the cherry on top, the PFF coverage grade for Washington's defense, 35.9.
Yeah, y'all was getting sliced and diced. as far as your offensive line, you know, those pressure statistics being not in your favor, for Jaden Daniels to just get sacked 2 times on the day, that's really good, man. That's
Dog,
really
if
good.
that's Sam Howell, and that's the thing too, is they're like, Jaden ran 16 times. Cliff Kingsbury, what are you doing? Bruh, it's not like I would say maybe 4 or 5 of those 16 carries were by design.
Right.
Outside of that, that's it. What do you? Because if he doesn't take off and run, he's taking a sack. Then you're telling me that he's holding on to the ball for too long, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, you drafted a guy like Jaden Daniels because he can get you first down. I should have looked this up. How many first downs he created with his legs?
Yeah.
I mean,
He
it probably
got a couple. I mean, he at one point it seemed like he was the offense.
He
And
was.
that's
He
why I
carried
brought
that team
attention
on
to
his
that
back.
second quarter drive, man. Like it was him. It was all him.
So it's going to be a learning curve, and I think you'll see him pass the ball more. But one of the big things too, 0 turnovers for Washington. I mean, what do you want a rookie quarterback to have 0 turnovers? That is like the biggest blessing in the world.
That's it. We saw the other guys out there struggling, man. Like they were definitely struggling. Bo Nix was in struggle mode.
He threw 2 pretty bad interceptions.
Yeah, Caleb Williams was, running for his life and not making plays, man. I think at the end of the first half, he had 36 passing yards.
I don't think he got over 100, right? I think he had like 76 passing yards or something like that.
Don't think he did. So you already know the kind of comments that are going to come with that from other fan bases. Like, see, you draft a first-round quarterback, he's not going to fix everything. So it's good to see Jaden Daniels getting off to a good start, man. I'm sure you feel good about the future with him.